Hey everybody, it's Jamie Sylvian, founder of Rise Strategies. I'm here today with David Key. David is the CEO of E Squared Group, and they're based up in Leeds. Now, one of the things we find working in acquisitions is that very often the information flow and the data used and the software platforms used when two companies come together, often that can be a challenge. And what David Key and his team at E Squared have done is to put together a software package that actually aligns all of the software and the processes that are used within the business. And the whole idea is just to make the transition and the merge of two businesses much smoother. So at Rise, we see this as a potential evening out of that bottleneck that most acquisition companies have as they're putting these deals together. So I'm going to hand over to David, and we're going to ask a few questions about Isoma Choir and see if it works and see if it could be a fit for what you guys do. So David, thank you for dropping in on the webinar. Do you want to explain to our viewers a little bit of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie, and hi everyone. Yes, E Squared, we're a software company. We make process-based systems. And Isoma Choir is our latest. It's a brand new, tailor-made acquisition management software system, which we built for purpose. And the idea is that all the information needed to successfully integrate acquired companies is all located in one place. And we've built this on our tried and tested Isoma platform, which has been running now for nearly 10 years. And we've used it with a range of clients, from small and simple service companies to some of the major conglomerates that we work with around the world. And we've piloted it successfully with clients in England, in Europe, and in New Zealand. So we're pretty happy with it. And we deliver Isoma Choir pre-built, so it's ready to go. And its structure has been really carefully designed to accommodate all of the information a highly acquisitive business needs, from, say, an operational online playbook in the form of processes and documentation, to measurement systems which enable progress, and a structure which allows for easy replication as you buy more and more new businesses. Well, let's start by looking at what this thing looks like as we've gone on screen now. So this is what an employee would see when they open up the system on their browser or maybe the company intranet. As you'll see, right up front, there are 6 boxes which take the user straight into the sort of key information. So, you know, what's our purpose as a business? What do we need to do to hit our targets and to build our value for customers, etc. So if you are, you know, you're the acquiring business, you not only want your employees to follow this information, but you want the new team you're bringing on board to follow this information as well. Okay. So beneath this, we have quite a lot of detail that Isoma Choir contains. Should we start to just drill down and have a look at that, Jamie, and try and explain that in relation to the acquisition you mentioned?
Yeah, let's do that.
So let's just drill down into one of these boxes now, the one that's headed Understand Our Purpose. Okay. So what this is showing is a very high level structure of a set of processes. I'm just going to move the video screen out of the way here so I can look at this. And it just really shows you know, what the strategic part of the business is, what its targets are, what its goals are, and how through things like leadership, planning, and operations it's going to deliver those. And if we then sort of drill down through, say, goals here, it will start to bring up those details. You can drill down more and more until you get to the point where you want. And it links this to key performance indicators. So you'll see here on the right, there is a feed here, which can be either directly inputted into Isoma, or it can be taken from existing links in your business. And it also then shows you how those KPIs are to be achieved. So if I click on this button on the left here, you'll see more detail, and it starts to take us down into the operations, into the value chain for the business, and into the processes that support all of that. So it means that somebody looking at this immediately, let's say an acquired business, a team from an acquired business, can easily understand what they're being tasked to do and how they go about doing it and what their goals are. So not only that, but you can then take this further as an individual. So let's say I was one of the new employees and I wanted to see how I contributed to these KPIs. Well, on the left here, I can look at my processes, the things that relate to my job. As you'll see in a moment, they'll come up in orange. So in this system, it's identifying me as a sales manager. And automatically, you'll see it's bringing up activities and processes here on the left, which I can drill straight into, which identify my contribution, the tasks I have to undertake to achieve these goals.
So just to explain this then, so just to understand this, so we've got two sales managers coming in, two people. So we're basically trying to align what they do now that there is a new structure within the business, a much larger structure. It's going to be obviously more complicated. It's going to have different processes coming from both different companies. So if I'm understanding this right, then so these two sales managers can come in. They'll both log into that document, and the purpose of this is to align what they're doing in terms of the company, in terms of what is expected of them now in the much bigger company. So yes, it's a sort of a central point for them to go into.
Exactly that. A single point of reference for everything they need to do. So it shows them what their contribution is to the business, what they have to do to achieve that, what their KPIs are, their targets, and how they go about delivering that.
Oh, Dave, that's really interesting, actually. But let me ask you, how do you make this information business specific, so that every company is utilizing the processes that are appropriate to them?
That's a great question, Jamie. Thank you. Well, we do it in two ways. Firstly, when we supply Isoma Choir, we supply the company or growing company with a complete system, one that contains everything it needs to integrate its acquisitions, including, for example, if we go here and back to this area, a value chain that relates to its particular industry. We can look at one here, for example, for construction managed services, and a set of preloaded processes beneath that, which are specific to that industry. So, for example, everything it needs to do in HR, in recruitment, in payroll, in finance, all those things are there. But we do it secondarily through customization, because no two companies in any industry are the same. And so everybody wants to customize these processes to some extent, to make sure that the system is precisely configured to the business's needs. And that's very easy to do, because within the system, there is this editing environment. So within this, the management team of the company buying this can go straight in and amend any of the processes in the process library really simply and easily.
Well, okay.
But if they need further help, then it's available. We have a team of international operational excellence partners on hand to provide more specific, more expert help if that's required. But by and large, most companies can do this themselves.
So is there software like this out there, David? I mean, are you attacking a brand new market, or what makes Isoma Choir so special in terms of how we present, how Rise when we're working with clients? We usually, our process is usually, for example, we have the main company. Let's say it's a marketing agency, and they want to grow. They're at 3 million in revenues. They want to grow. Growing one customer at a time is a pain, as everybody knows, and it comes with its own challenges. So our approach to all of this is that we would say to a company, well, you can buy another company, you can buy another agency that brings in another skill set. For example, you're a pure digital marketing agency, but you can buy in an SEO content agency, and then you merge those two businesses together. So what my clients at the moment do is, they juggle everything, and they take what's best from both companies. So I do see the value in the Isoma Choir product. So my question is, given all the other the other ways that people have been doing this so far, what makes Isoma Choir so special in terms of how we would put a merger together like this?
Yeah, that's again a really great question. The key to everything in mergers is clarity. The new team coming in needs to understand very quickly what it has to do, and the company buying that team needs to be able to explain that and to do that very clearly and very quickly. Now, the problem is that most systems don't really provide that clarity, and this is the difference with Isoma, because at the heart of Isoma Choir is this: a very simple but powerful process language called IDEF0, which I'm going to show you with a really simple example. Okay, let's just switch off the KPIs and that bit. Okay, it's called IDEF0, this language. Sometimes, more commonly, it's known as Universal Process Notation. But unlike the typical arcane and specialist languages which many systems adopt, particularly for automation, this is designed to be easily understandable by everyone and engaging for them to use. And it contains no complex shapes for people to translate, and all its instructions are written in simple business language, usually English. It could be another language. And this not only improves the clarity we're talking about, but it improves the communication and adoption of operational activities, which are absolutely critical to a merger. And it also encourages then people to adopt these processes in a very standardized way. Firstly, you've got this straightforward input into a simple command here, which then follows out through into an output, okay? And Isoma allows processes to be broken down into detail. So if we go back, I'm going to go back a level here to show you how it comes down to this. Let me just go back up into this one. Here, so this is the process above the one we've just looked at. You see it's a little bit more complicated, and you probably would want to know a bit more about each part of this as you go through it. So you just can drill down, okay? It breaks down complexity into simple steps, which everybody can follow. Then what it does is enables all existing and future systems, documentation, and data to be all linked to and driven off this same sort of process skeleton, meaning that staff just have this single place that they need to go to for everything they need to find to do their jobs. So for example, if I go on here to this complete demand assessment form, I can click on this little video link here.
We move on to the next point.
And it takes me to a video showing me how to do the job.
Which market segment?
Okay.
Okay. And that can apply to links to, say, document systems, document management systems, automation systems such as ERP systems, SAP, Oracle, that sort of thing, anything like that. And then thirdly, it allows management teams to sort and display information according to their needs through things like the dashboard here, which is specific to me as a user, both in my job type and in the user type I have for the system. You'll see at the moment I've got a demo mode showing that I can demonstrate me as a business user, but there are many other types of user which the system automatically identifies. And it could also enable me to look at information in terms of, say, management standards or compliance, if that's relevant. So, for example, if we are, as a business, working to ISO 9001 and we want our newly acquired business to work to ISO 9001, we can show all the processes that are related to that, and we can just drill straight into them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. And the various reports that are built into Isoma Choir allow for the identification and removal of things like duplicated roles, duplicated processes. So it further advances the business's journey to cost reduction and effectiveness improvement. Things like this. We can look at, say, a usage report and look at which particular activities, you see many here are never used, which might be duplicated, etc. So it's really easy for the acquiring and the acquired business to start to streamline things. And then fourthly, it really links all this together under this thing we've been talking about, the value chain. So if we go back here, okay, back to the CMS value chain, Okay, right across the business then, all of the operations are coordinated according to the value that this business wants to deliver to its customers. And if it wants to, it can work together with its acquired business to improve this value chain and then improve the processes beneath it so that always the delivery to the customer is optimized. Does that answer the question, Jamie?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's fascinating actually. What I can see how companies that we work with can, how this would give them a real sort of a real leap forward. It must save a lot of time as well in terms of a company going in. If they am I right in saying that let's say a company's thinking of the acquisition path, that's why they've come to us to talk to us. Could they then put all of their systems into this and then almost before they've even started the conversation for an acquisition, but then when that acquisition happens, this is already pre-loaded, pre-ready for the incoming company, then they can just sort of slot that company in, and then so instead of the 3 or 6 months it takes to embed a company, it can be done in a faster time just because the system's already there. It's almost like they're saying to the new sales director coming in or the sales team coming in, all right, guys, welcome to us. This is how it works. This is where I want you to go and look because I need you to learn these processes. Yeah. So to me, if I'm understanding everything rightly, that's a much faster way than a lot of certainly the smaller companies. Well, actually, there's the smaller companies and the much larger companies. Processes always tend to get very complex and so on. So I think what I see as the value to my clients is that this is, as they bring in a new acquisition, they just say, this is what you guys follow.
You're absolutely right, Jamie. I mean, before we invented Isoma Choir with our pre-configured, pre-packaged processes, we already had within the system the ability to upload processes from, say, Visio or other systems and make that part of it very quickly. And we know that when we've used this with our clients overseas, they've saved between 8 months and a year in integration time because of this. Okay, so the process is there, ready to go. They might need to tweak them a bit, but 8 months each time they make an acquisition. And we know that for some of the smaller businesses that we've been working with, that saved around £200,000 in costs. Okay, that's just manpower.
£200,000.
To create the processes. So it's pretty good.
No, I just I can see how when I'm sitting in a room with the CEO of a company and talking about acquisitions and why it is that it's the fastest way to corporate growth. It's the fastest way. We focus on the exit on the last day of the business. And the way that we do that is we say, well, you start with the company that you've got now and you buy in a series of companies, and you're using the funding, or you're using the cash flow of the businesses to buy themselves. So the deals that we do allow a company to grow fast. And our mantra is, to 10x your company on the day that you sell. This, I think, has the potential to get them there that much faster, and the company are integrating staff and all the rest of it. And but I think if I was a CEO of a company with 25, 30 staff and buying a company of comparable size, one of the issues that we're always coming across is almost just that fear factor of saying, yeah, but that's an awful lot of people to manage. Yeah. And the Isoma, it seems like it's kind of, it's not, nothing's the answer to everything, but actually looking at how this structure works or how the platform works, that could actually make it much easier, much quicker, and allow other people, all this stuff always ends up at the CEO's desk, and that's always an issue. But if doing it this way, he's almost ready to say to his HR people, there's a new company coming in, this is how we want it to do. So it actually makes acquisitions much smoother and much easier for him to do, and that means he can do them quicker. So for us, for our clients, getting to 10x, 10x their value when they're selling is actually much easier with this system than them just sort of moving things around in moving parts that they've got in the companies now. That's fascinating. Absolutely. I like that.
I mean, let's just talk about size of company and what it does. Our smallest client is 9 people. So we're working with some pretty interesting small teams. But our largest client is just over 15,000 people, and we're just about to take on a new client of 25,000 people. So size is just not an issue at all. And when we ran the pilots, we ran them with companies of typically 100 to 200 people teams. So we ran it firstly with one of our clients out in Barcelona, a cosmetic packaging design company, and they have just over 100 people, but very acquisitive. And then we ran it with the equivalent of British Gas out in New Zealand called Vector. And Vector run, all the pipelines, all the gas pipelines for New Zealand, but they were acquired by a private equity firm in the UK. And the team eventually that were acquired were about 180 people. So, it worked really well. It was a relatively small team, and it worked really, really well. And that's where we started to see the real numbers, the 8 months saving, the year saving out in Barcelona, the £200,000 saving. It was that sort of thing that came through. And we know that that using Isoma, acquisitions, the rate of acquisitions and the capacity is increased. So it increases the rate of acquisitions by about 70%. So that means that over your 3-year period, instead of making one acquisition every 11 months, which is typical, we can make one every 3 months. So it's 12 acquisitions in 3 years.
Wow.
That's the deal, So the numbers, when you start to look at the numbers, they really start to be quite interesting. So let's just have a look at this. The cost of Isoma Choir is just under 10K. It's £9,900. But we know that for the first acquisition, companies save around 200K. So it's a 20-to-1 saving immediately. And going back to the rate, this 70% increase, it means that 4 times as many acquisitions can be handled using Isoma Choir in, let's say, a 3-year period than they would otherwise be able to be handled. And simply doing the maths, the ROI is over £2 million over that period. It's really significant.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I like that. All right, so that's the economics of buying. I understand that. And can we go a bit deeper into the 10K cost? What does that mean in terms of position me? I'm a CEO. I'm thinking of an acquisition. I'm thinking of becoming an acquisitive company. So am I just paying 10 grand, or can you just talk me through how that would work? Let's say I want to buy 5 companies over the next 3 years, just as a working example.
Absolutely. The 10 grand is a subscription, an annual subscription. And for that, we provide a license for up to 50 people. It's very easy to add users at any time. In addition to that, it's simply £10 a user or £10.40 a user. But we provide full hosting of the system for that as well, which means that the buyer has no additional IT costs. They don't have to buy a server and upload it with, server licenses, which are very expensive. So all that's provided, and we provide full technical support, plus up to 4 days on-site training and customization. So if the customers do need some expert help in customizing some of their processes, that's available, that's included. Yeah. So the whole thing is packaged, ready to go.
Very good. All right. So let's break it down. Lots of charts, lots of numbers, all that stuff. I know from my busy client CEOs and busy myself. How would you sum all of this up? What in terms of my clients, say I've got a client, he's interested in setting up a 3-year acquisition program with us. In a sentence, what can Isoma Choir do for him? You can have 2 sentences.
Thank you. Well, it's a very powerful yet easy to use acquisition management system, which quickly integrates teams and builds replicable operational effectiveness in a growing company. And because of these numbers, it reduces acquisition costs by 6 figures. It accelerates the rate of acquisitions by 70%, and it increases acquisition capacity by a factor of 4. So it's a no-brainer, for any ambitious CEO seeking rapid growth through acquisitions. It's a complete no-brainer.
Good. All right. Well, I think something like this. I think it's fascinating, David. I think there's definitely something that my clients will get on board with. I'm going to put your contact details on this page, so my clients can contact you directly and obviously look after them when they get there. But I think it's a fascinating program. I'm very grateful for you to popping by and explaining it to us.
Pleasure, Jamie. Thank you very much indeed for the opportunity. Look forward to talking to your clients.
My pleasure. Yeah, grand. Okay. All right, guys. For my clients, thank you all for having a look at this. Much appreciated, as always. If you want to get in touch with David, you'll see his information below. Just give him a call, book yourself in a call and demonstration, and talk about your business. Talk about, very specific. So, this is obviously a general overview, but every one of my clients is running the business in a different way. So, call David, have that conversation. David, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamie.